Never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Should I have? It's a ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Kessel Run Weekly. I'm your host, Cheyenne, and I'm joined by two of my favorite people in the world. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
So, Emperor Palpatine and Grace.
Yeah.
Not Marin this time.
Not Marin. Listen, if you guys show up as Palpatine and Marin and I'm just me, I'm gonna be sad.
Next week.
And scared.
Next week, when we discuss another character.
You're so good at that, dude.
Yeah.
That's Brody, for those that don't know who our local voice actor
It
is.
Emperor Palpatine, Lord of the Sith, Meme Master Extraordinaire.
That's incredible. So, and oddly relevant. We are doing another character chat today. And we are talking about Rey Skywalker / Palpatine /
It's Rey
nobody.
Palpatine, and that is final.
You're dead, you don't matter.
I already died once.
Yeah, that's true. Gross. So, talking about Rey, might be a little bit longer of a character chat simply because we want to make sure that she doesn't get gypped on anything, and sometimes characters like Rey have a lot more theory behind them than other characters do, because we don't necessarily have her full story, even as much as maybe they think they gave us that. So we're going to open with a theory, and we'll probably close with a theory as well, but I want to know what you guys think, or what your theory would have been had she been a Kenobi. I will preface before you guys answer with, I really like the story that we got from her. I also like the concept of her being a nobody and choosing her family. We're very big positive Star Wars around here. And we like to keep it that way, but I love theory questions because I'm not always very good at them. So what are your thoughts on her if she had been a Kenobi, and what would have happened? Grace, go for it.
Okay. So, my theory is, because this is like probably Legends material or whatever, but I think, again, I say this every podcast, but people can correct me if I'm wrong. Please do so. I believe in Legends, Obi-Wan knows of his family and actually goes and visits them at one point. So, and is actually keeps in touch with them. So, if Rey was a Kenobi, I don't think it would be Obi-Wan directly.
Okay.
I think it would have been his actual biological family, something to do with a brother.
Yeah.
Or a sister or something. That would probably fit pretty well. Yeah. I mean,
I love that. No,
that's the first thing that kind of popped in my head.
Would you think that Rey is Obi-Wan's great niece or something?
Yeah.
If that's the case?
Or no,
not a daughter.
Not a daughter.
Not a daughter.
So a niece.
Not a granddaughter.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a direct descendant necessarily.
Right.
A relative. Okay, yes. I love that. I mean, I didn't know that Kenobi knew a lot about his family, so that's cool.
Mm-hmm. At least in Legends, that's how it was. Because, he saw Anakin's, not necessarily his direct thing with Padme, even though, come on. Everybody knew.
Right.
Let's be real.
Yeah. There's no hiding that.
he, like, saw that and saw that, like, Anakin really benefited from having that sort of connection.
Mm-hmm.
So then he found his family and reconnected with them.
Oh, I love
Not
that.
directly,
Yeah.
but, like, they knew about him, he knew about them, he occasionally checked in on them, that kind of thing.
I love that. That's big Kenobi energy.
Yes.
Brody, what are your thoughts?
Well, Grace, you reminded me of how I heard that Mace Windu's family apparently missed him a lot and constantly, like, wrote him letters like, please just visit us once, we miss you.
Wow.
And Mace Windu was just like, I'm sorry, I'm a Jedi now, I can't do this.
What?
But,
That's
I
so
didn't know
sad.
that.
yeah, and, like, that's really sad, because it's like, Mace, just visit your family. Maybe you
Yeah.
wouldn't be such, like, a jerk if
Yeah.
that were the case.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be calling Ahsoka a civilian if you saw your mom and pop.
That made me
Ouch.
so mad.
Ouch.
But,
So mad.
I remember in the beginning when a lot of people were theorizing that she was a Kenobi, and part of, like, one of the reasons leads into one of my questions for the theories, but I think the one thing that really alluded to it the most was how much Obi-Wan had a voice when Rey was going through that Anakin lightsaber force trip, you know, when she was like at Bespin at one point, then she was on this island, and then she's on the Knights of Ren, and it's like you heard both Ewan McGregor say, like, these are your first steps, and then you heard Ewan McGregor going, Rey?
Mm-hmm.
It's
No,
like,
it's Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness.
what?
It was
Said-
Alec Guinness's voice.
You said
Yeah,
Ewan McGregor twice.
Oh, did I say Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor? Alec
You did.
Guinness. My
It
goodness.
confused me a little bit. I'm
You know
sorry.
what you know what I meant.
Yeah,
with
I heard it in your voice that you meant it. It's funny. Yeah, I just really, like, as soon as we said we were going to talk about Rey, I was like, I want to know what they think about this. Because I honestly, like, up until it was getting really close, I really wasn't concerned with it at
Same.
all, you know? I figured I would like whatever they did, and I do, and I like what they do, and I like the options that they had, really. And I like that essentially she still was a nobody. And she
Because
just, like...
Palpatine sucks.
Yeah, because Palpatine's an idiot.
Watch it.
And
I'm sorry, Palpy, but you're terrible.
Palps.
Never liked Palpatine.
Yeah, same.
I prefer Rey Palpatine over Sheev
Really
Palpatine any
feeling
day.
the love,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So for my listeners out there, typically I just have like a quick list because I want these to be shorter, but like I said, this is going to be longer. So I did ask Grace and Brody to bring questions to the table. So Brody, I would love to hear one of your questions.
So this does coincide with the Obi-Wan query a little bit.
Okay.
But what do you think the extent of Rey's force powers are? Because in the whole, trilogy, she is shown to have a multitude of abilities that some may consider unnatural. But no, some that are unique to specific Jedi. And the one that I wanted to bring up the most was psychometry, which is the ability to see events that happened through touching an object, which belongs
So,
to
like Cal has.
like the one that Cal Kestis has and the one
Yeah.
that Quinlan Voss also had.
I was about to say, like,
Does Kylo have that?
similar thing.
I don't think so. I don't think he's shown to have any of that because
Okay.
there are two instances where psychometry could have been in use. And the one case was Rey touching Luke's lightsaber
Okay, right.
and going through the moments and going to that force trip, but that kind of went beyond what happened with the lightsaber.
Right.
So that might have just been like the click and unlocked everything, as well as touching with the psychometry. And then the second case was in The Rise of Skywalker, when she picked up the Sith Eternal dagger, and she heard screams or something. It's like, terrible things have been done with this dagger
Right.
because it killed her parents. But she didn't see it directly, or else she would have been like, oh, they killed my parents with this. No, it was
Right.
vague. So do you think she has
Feelings
a
and
little
thoughts.
bit of it?
Go ahead, Grace.
No, you're good.
I feel like yes. I feel like a lot of what we see from her is current, obviously, you know, but, like, I feel like what we're seeing from her is meant to be, like, snippets so that we know that she does have that ability. Because even though the Skywalker saga is over, there's no way that's the last thing we see of Rey. There's no way.
No, there's totally going to be more.
Yeah, so, like, just the concept of, like, being presented with all of these powers that, like, I mean, we see Baby Yoda heal before we see her heal. And,
couple of days before.
Yeah.
And the writers did say that they were coinciding with each other, like they talked about it together.
Right. They were like,
yeah,
this would be cool.
Let both of them do this. Because it wasn't just like a coincidence, it was a specifically chosen.
Yeah, and I think, too, the concept of her having the wills, and people didn't really have those, you know? Like, this is just like a theory of mine in my head, but, like, they probably had the journals, at, like, the Jedi Order in the prequels, you know? But they probably literally weren't just, like, standing in the front of a classroom, like, reading. You know what I mean? Like, It was dependent on master teaching master, and if they didn't all expand upon what was in those wills, they didn't all have those same abilities, they didn't all have those same strengths and weaknesses, and so it was very, like, specific. So I feel like with Rey having basically everything at her fingertips through Luke, Leia, and the journals, she kind of had a different route to take to learn multiple things. So I think that, yeah, even if we see just snippets of it, it's just like a hint to tell us, like, hey, she's gonna have lots of cool powers. Here's what that power is like, you know?
Another power that she's shown to have that comes to her rather quickly, just like the psychometry or the Force healing as we know of right now, because at this point she's only whipped it out to heal the serpent, but chronologically. Mm-hmm. But when she was in the interrogation chamber on Starkiller Base, she whipped out a Jedi mind trick, like, after 2 attempts, but then the 3rd attempt convinced the stormtrooper to release her bindings and drop his blaster and leave the door open.
That stormtrooper was played by James Bond, by the way.
Yes. Simon Pegg.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig.
Simon Pegg was
another stormtrooper.
Yes.
Yeah, wasn't he also a stormtrooper at some point?
Yes, he was.
I think in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I was about to say another one.
But I think that was a deleted scene or whatever. Who cares? Moving on back to Rey. So, with her Force abilities, do you think that with Palpy obtaining powers that some may consider unnatural through his cloning process and such that we have learned, like, we all know about Palpy's cloning thing, how he's cloned or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know that whole story.
That made me so mad.
For context for everybody who does not know,
who might not know.
Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker is 100% a clone. But consider it as it's just a puppet for Palpatine's dark side spirit to possess, because what he did at the end of Return of the Jedi was he projected his body through the Force, like projected his soul through the Force out of his body, and then went into one of the gross Palpatine clones. But since it wasn't alive, so to speak, it started rapidly decaying like a regular corpse. And that's why Palpatine needed the life energy to come back to life and, regenerate his body and become the one true Sith.
That is nasty.
It's so nasty. It's so gross.
That's gross.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Now that we know that Rey's father, specifically, was a failed clone of Palpatine.
Do we know that? We, know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was a failed clone of Palpatine who got married to a rando and then they had Rey.
How?
It's unknown if the father had Force abilities, but we just know that Palpatine genes, Palpagenes, are inside of...
right now.
We know that the Palpagenes are inside of Rey, and that allows her to... I think that might allow her to tap into these Force abilities that may seem unnatural. Also, the Force lightning that she used for a moment.
Yeah.
I just pictured Palpatine on a casual Friday in the Senate, just wearing jeans.
Just wearing jeans. I can imagine him wearing, like,
Oh my
tight
God.
jeans and, like, cowboy boots.
I imagine him declaring Casual Friday. Him just, like, being in the office and being like, now that I'm Supreme Chancellor. Casual Fridays. Yeah. And he, like, kicks up his legs.
Like, they aren't even, like, you know, like, they're like, short, like, acid-washed skinny jorts. And they're all like, "M'lady."
No, I think that would be more like the cargo shorts.
Oh no!
I'm totally gung-ho for acid-washed skinny
Oh my
jorts.
God.
And they have the pockets coming out of the pant legs. They have the little pockets that are going out.
Maybe
You know the ones?
Yeah.
You know the ones.
Oh my God.
Captain Panaka's rocking them.
Oh my God. Panaka and jorts. Give me Panaka and jorts.
Panaka in jorts. Panaka in jorts. Panaka in jorts.
I know.
Grace
I know
hates us.
somebody that can do Tara and jorts.
Oh my God, amazing.
You know,
But-
now I'm gonna have to actually go through with that CRL now and
Do it.
buy specifically some booty shorts
Oh my God.
to rock out our new CRL.
Wow.
Okay, back to Palpatine.
Yeah.
Friday.
Back to Rey.
I have a
back to
question.
Yes.
Why does, this is a dumb question, but why does his clone son not look like him then?
Well, if you look back, it kind of vaguely looks like him as if he
As if
were
he was
young.
young.
Because when we see Palpatine for the
Yes.
first time, he's still pretty old. He's like in his 60s now.
Yeah.
While this one would look like a Palpatine in his 20s.
That's
Because
fair.
let's be real, the way we look now would not look at all the same 20 years later, 40 years later, 130 years later like Palpatine.
Mm-hmm. That's
So-
fair, I guess.
He has like kind of like the same hair as well.
does.
Like,
He does
you know,
have the
that
same
has
hair.
that kind of like front nub of hair.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
he does
play
have
the
that.
scene back, Disney Plus, everyone subscribe.
Yeah, $7.99 a month.
We're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored.
Now we are. No, we're not.
No, we're not. For legal reasons, we are not.
But if Disney's listening,
Hello.
Disney is always listening.
yeah,
That's
you're
the
right.
truth.
Hey, Disney's, who's the CEO? It's not Bob Iger still.
Bob Chapek.
Somebody.
Yeah, whatever.
We love a Bob.
Thanks.
Mr. Disney Bob.
Bob's.
Give us Disney Plus sponsorship and we will sponsor it. Anyways,
Okay.
Multiple
Okay.
Bobs.
theory from Grace.
Oh, bring it on, Grace.
Okay. This is also Legends, but this is like new information, sort of, that I learned.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
the last king of Naboo, his name was King Varuna. He served for about anywhere between 8 to 12 years. This was before Naboo started a term limit, very similar to how after FDR we had a term limit for the presidents, sort of like that. And when Varuna was king, he was in political programs with Palpatine.
Yes.
So, my thought is Palpatine originally wanted to be king, but because he did not win the election and Varuna won the election instead, he went to the Senate, and that was his new
Whoa.
plan. So instead of taking over the planet, and then because he took over a planet, he took over other planets. He took over the Senate.
I do love that theory. I am curious to know. I only read Darth Plagueis once. But
Yes.
in
I don't
it,
think Varuna's in Darth Plagueis.
no, but it talks about Palpatine's journey through the little Senate legislator group thing.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it talks about that at all. I don't know if it does.
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
But
It
he
just
is
talks about the Senate
no
stuff.
longer canon.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, the
Yeah.
whole Darth Plagueis story even was deemed not canon. So
It's
it's
so
just
sad.
like
It's so good.
tears.
It's so
tears
good.
run down my
Well-
face.
I'm actually glad that King Varuna's not canon.
Yeah.
Was he a
because-
big meanie?
Yes. But also, that means that all of the rulers of Naboo have all been female.
Nice.
Except for the first human that settled on Naboo, who's named Jafam. And that was before the kings and queens thing was a thing.
Yeah,
So-
doesn't count.
There have been
Fake.
the entire monarchy has all been women, and that's just
Was it just
yes, please.
was
Love
Naboo
that.
overrun by Gungans, or did they still have their little underwater?
The
cities?
Gungans were the natives.
I know that they were the natives, but I'm saying was the entire planet Gungans, and then when
Yes.
the humans came by, they were like, skedaddle into your underwater cities, get out of
Yes.
here, skadoodle.
That's exactly what happened.
Do something that brain so big.
Sounds
Okay.
like
That's my
colonization.
Padme/Naboo rant.
I love it.
tangent
We love
for
an
the
Abu
podcast.
rant.
This has become a thing about Palpatine now.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna jump around a little bit, I feel. So I have a fun
Because,
question
you
for you
can't-
guys. Huh?
You can't really talk about Rey without talking about Palpatine himself.
And then you can't talk
Yeah.
about Palpatine without talking about Naboo, and you can't talk about Naboo without talking about Padme!
Yeah! We love a web of Star Wars.
Love
Yeah.
Padme.
We love Padme. So,
You do.
this is kind of just like a fun-ish question. Why do you guys think Rey
Yes.
and Chewie get along so well?
Why do we... Wait, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, why do you think Rey and Chewie get along so well? I don't know.
They both don't like sand.
I mean, maybe. Probably.
And
I would say...
they can both pilot really well.
That's what I was gonna
a good
say.
one.
Like, he might respect her as a pilot. Because it's known that Rey is a good pilot. A lot of people thought that the Millennium Falcon was her first time ever flying, but that's not the case. She's flown hundreds of times on Jakku.
Yeah.
She's just never left.
Yeah, she
She's
flew on the
been
ground.
in quad jumpers. She's been in all this stuff, Corellian vessels as well. And, she just never left the planet because she was waiting for her parents, which
Yeah.
she thought would come back for her one day. That's why she's never left Jakku, which is like, no, they're
It's
dead
emotional.
in a pompous grave in the Jakku desert.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask that because I was thinking about it when I was watching The Last Jedi, and I was like, they're so sweet and like just kind to each other, and they get along so seamlessly.
Maybe
and
because Han took a liking to her, just like, if Han likes this kid, she's cool with me.
must be right. Yeah, and I thought about that too. I was just it's interesting how Han did take a liking to her. Simply because we see him in a disgruntled manner, so like seeing him still be his true self, his true good boy self, in the manner of like adopting Rey into his she's a good person type of thing, and then just seeing Chewie be like, Han would want me to take care of her, so like even in Han's death, Chewie is a dedicated boy. Yeah, Brody?
Do you think Han took such a liking to Rey because she reminded him so much of Ben? Because they are the dyad in the Force.
Probably.
They are two of one, entity. They're
Probably.
the dyad. So do
That's
you
cute.
think that they radiated like the same aura, and that's why Han was just like,
He
this kid is
probably
cool.
felt it in the Force and then didn't even know it because he's Han and he avoids it.
Right.
Well, it doesn't mean that he's Force sensitive.
No,
It doesn't
but I
mean that
just-
he's, like, Force sensitive. But the Force
No, but I just love
surrounds us,
that.
binds us together.
Yeah,
And-
since the Force is universal,
The Force is
he just
universal.
doesn't like to admit it, and he probably felt it via the Force. The Force
It's
was like,
not
hey.
everybody is like a super guru, but everyone can sense
super
people's
guru.
energies and their auras, and chakras. I don't know. It's just the
Yeah.
way people radiate who they are. And since Rey and Ben are two of the same Force,
Yes.
that might be why Han was
I love
just
that.
like, something about this kid.
I love
I
it.
like this kid.
Yeah. What's up,
Also, I just think it's because they radiate like such chaotic energy at times that Rey is like, that Han is just like, when he sees Rey, he's like, what?
Yeah. And Chewie's like, I don't
I've seen
know.
this before. I
Probably
mean,
because, like, she knew about compressors and stuff, and they both, at the same time, it's just like, because we didn't shut down the compressor.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the finish each other's
They're
sandwiches.
impressed.
Yes.
They're impressed by people, and I think that's so like important, just in general to their characters themselves, because it's like they meet a lot of people, so it takes a lot to impress them, especially from somebody that they definitely underestimated in the beginning. So more of a deeper question. We just be bouncing around with different types.
Oh dear.
So, do you think that when Rey and Kylo were force timing, and he was assessing the situation, he was like, "Can you see my surroundings? I can only see you. Like, what are you, like, you're not doing this." He's assessing the situation. She was just seemingly blinded by anger. She wasn't really taking in any of that information. She's like a moment where she maybe like opens her eyes a little wider when he's saying all those things. But do you think that she thought about any of that afterwards, or that it was just a fleeting thought? Like, do you think she took any of that into account for future force timing?
Well, consider that Han literally just died like 6 hours before that. So that's probably why she was just like, "You murderous snake. Like, you did this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm still mad at you for doing this." So she's blinded by that hatred, that Palpatine dark side that still lingers on. And that brings me up to another question that I have. But Grace, what do you think of this?
Okay, so my thought process with it is that in the moment, she doesn't think about it. But when something like that happens again, is when, like, she actually remembers the whole thing.
Right.
Where, like, Kylo's like, "I can only see you," and, like, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was, like, a situational moment. Like, he figures out where she is, because, like, he can hear a loop or something like that.
Yeah.
And, like, figures out where she is.
Yeah.
And it's like...
He wipes the water off of his face.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, people don't tend to think about situations when they're angry, and they tend to revisit it.
Correct.
And that's like that's basically like what Rey does. She revisits that first conversation.
She's pretty good at like self-reflection
right.
throughout all of this. And like eventually I think she does, because in the moment where they touch hands, like they both are assessing the situation of, we've learned this whole time because we keep force timing and things keep changing every time that we're force timing. So, like, what can we do now? And then eventually they touch hands. All right, Brody, you had another one. You ready for that one?
Yes. So, this is about Rey's anger.
Okay.
And how Palpatine might be credited for such outbursts, I guess you would say. Because she doesn't, go into a full dark side frenzy, but she does tap into a little bit of aggression, like example numero uno on Starkiller Base, when they were clashing sabers and Kylo was like, "I could show you the ways of the Force," and Rey was just like, "The Force," and then she had this kind of like menacing look in her eye, like serious, and that's when she started getting aggressive and started getting the upper hand on Kylo. So do you think that was her tapping a little bit into the dark side, just like how Mace Windu once,
Seer does the same thing.
His Vapad technique is just dipping the toe into the dark side to use some of its power while not being fully consumed by it. Because I think that's like, again, with the original Jedi.
I feel like it could be. I feel like there are two options. It could be her tapping into the dark side. It could just be her anger. Like, her genuine anger. Like, not necessarily be, like, she's subconsciously in tune to the dark side,
Right.
It's not a conscious effort at this point. Simply because of her knowledge of the Force at this point.
It's very broad.
Yeah.
She only really knows about the Jedi and their legends and the light.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like subconsciously maybe, and even if she wasn't, like, even if the Force wasn't even exposing the dark side to her maybe at that point, it could have just been her genuine, like, non-Force sensitive anger, too. So.
Because I think one of the things that really, like, attributes to her, like, becoming, quote-unquote, a Jedi, the idea of, like, remember in Octo there was this, not a statue, but like a stone monument
Yeah.
of the prime Jedi, and he was split down the middle,
Yeah.
white and black.
Yeah.
And originally, the concept of the Jedi was one who can work with the balance of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And then, taking a little bit from Legends, there was a group of Jedi who wanted to tap into the dark side for power. And then that kind of divided them to be the dark and the light.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually, the Jedi became purely light, while the Sith was born from the pure dark.
Yeah.
So, I think, like, at the end of The Rise of Skywalker, when Rey has kind of, like, lived her life, found out who she is really in the balance of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
She's not exactly a Jedi, but she's not exactly not.
Yeah.
Like, I think she's representing what the Jedi were, and it's that balance. But in this younger state, a year prior, or however long prior since the end of Rise of Skywalker, but she's new to the Force. This is her first exposure to it, and it's very broad. She's heard of the stories of Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Master, the legend, and Darth Vader, the Sith Lord, the dark side. And that's really all she knows.
Yeah.
So it's very, like,
not
at all attuned.
Yeah, I also wonder, with that being the case, and with her being a part of the dyad between her and Ben Solo, I wonder if she becomes that original representation between, like, the yin and the yang of the light and the dark. If she is gonna embody that. In essence, I mean, it even traces back to her first encounter with the true Force when Luke is training her in her first lesson, and she goes to the dark without hesitation. Does that stay with her forever to the point where she is the dark and the light, the black and the white image of the Jedi representation,
So, another thing, since you brought that up, that whole scene where it's like life, death, peace,
Love
fear, like a beautiful scene in my opinion. I think that was a beautiful scene, and I loved it when I was rewatching it, and I was just like, I love that.
Yeah.
When there was that little dark side, do you think that was her inner Palpatine calling into that? Was that her, Because Palpy was pure dark side. He was the Sith. He didn't have a smidgen of light in him. So, since that kind of passed on in the blood, do you think that could have been what, happened? Like, Palpatine's influence of, because I feel like Palpatine's influence has come out when she was trying to get Chewie back, and she ended up using the lightning, because, she was angry, like, I gotta fight Kylo, I'm, like, getting really ticked off, and then that's when she used her spicy fingers.
Spicy fingers.
That
is my favorite way to refer to that.
Force lightning? No, spicy fingers.
Spicy fingers. Grace, what are your thoughts on that? Because I have some.
I mean, because, like, it's, like, really hard to, like, properly express.
No, same.
I do definitely think that, like, it's more of an anger thing and just, like, built up from, like, frustration of, like, being left by her parents, not knowing if they'd return.
Unkar Plutt being a real meanie.
Right, like, she's, like, a scrapper, like, literally scrounging to survive, like...
Treated like a rat.
And then, all of a sudden, like, she's pulled into this greater purpose.
She's never seen more green in the galaxy.
Exactly. It's like, she wasn't done with what she thought she had planned.
Yeah.
And with everything that's occurred with her, I feel like it's her finally allowing all of that pent-up feeling to just disperse. It's not so much like, oh, all of a sudden I'm angry. It's always been there. It's just that she... Like, it's just that she didn't let it go until that moment.
Yeah, she couldn't recognize it until it was presented to her. That's a good
Right.
point.
Exactly.
I feel like there are multiple options there, obviously. My first instinct was to say no, like he had no hand in that, simply because it was her first time feeling the Force. So he probably wasn't in the mindset of looking for her, and there was nothing to tell Palpatine, like, hey, your granddaughter's tuning into the Force. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
But also, in that same vein, to think about the fact that Palpatine probably did have, like, permanent feelers out there in the Force to, like, just to be immediately thinking, like, where is she? What's she doing? Who is she? Like, I never met her. I don't even know, like, who she is.
Because
he also doesn't really have the option to know who she is until Kylo meets her, because he's in tune with Kylo. So until Kylo makes the connection of who Rey is, Palpatine probably doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
He just knows that she exists, or that something in relation to him exists. So until Kylo meets her, and Palpatine, like, secondarily meets her as well, he probably doesn't even know that she's there. So I'm wondering if it's just maybe her first interaction with the Force, and the Force really just opened up to her because of how powerful she is. Because I really love the concept of her power being practically limitless. Simply because I attune it to, she's so powerful because she has the most pure connection with the Force. Like, she just started from nothing. She wasn't taken as a baby to learn the Force. She wasn't, like, floating around objects one day and then discovered that she had it. She just, like, creates a raw relationship with it after she becomes an adult.
Exactly.
What's up, Brody?
Do you think that, I feel like there's some correlation between Rey and Anakin?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I feel like that has a lot of connection, because Anakin was, picked up from birth, plucked from his cradle to become a Jedi. He was a slave boy and lived with his mother, owned by Watto, used to be in the possession of Gardula the Hutt. There's Watto right there, the little plush. And, so cute. And, it's like, they both had the story. And yes, they were both trained about, Anakin was taught purely the light side of the Force. The, I guess, biased view of the Jedi.
Yeah.
The Jedi viewed only the light, no marriage, no love, no compassion, no real emotion. Be one with the light of the Force, which is nothing, essentially. But by Anakin knowing his mother, he had that passion, and the passion led to, quote-unquote, the dark side, which the Jedi feared. So, do you think with Rey being, first of all, had a lot more experience of being older than Anakin when he was picked up? Because Anakin was like, what, 7, maybe 8?
He was
9.
He was 9.
Yeah.
He was
And
10
then-
in the novel.
Yeah, he was supposed to be older, and he wasn't.
People don't seem to acknowledge that.
Either way, so Anakin was 9. He had 9 years of not being a Jedi, while Rey had, like, 19, 20
Yeah, I think
years
19.
of not being a Jedi.
Yeah.
She was 19 in the first
She was
movie.
19. So she has, I'd say, a lot more reason to, like, have that passion.
Yeah.
But she was jerked around by Unkar Plutt. Like, you even see when he was like, come on, girl, and, like, tugging on her arm, and disrespected when she was cleaning the scrap. There were those aliens that were like, whatever alien lingo. She's been dealing with that her whole 19 years, or at least until she got dropped off by her parents.
Yeah, and even the concept, too, behind the fact that, like, her parents not only left her there and she was hoping they'd come back, but they left her there with Unkar Plutt. So, like, she has every reason to be angry and sad, but she still has
it's
hope
not like,
and
it
happiness.
doesn't come out of nowhere. So, like, that is a good point. It isn't always just Palpy's influence. She is her own person. At the end of the day, she is Rey. She isn't Rey Palpatine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Octu, before we move off of the thought process of the island, One of my favorite moments is when he says, like, Luke is asking her, like, what the Force is, and she tries to explain it, and then he explains it to her in full, and then she says, like, okay, but what is it? Like, I don't know why that one moment really just stood out to me, but, like, that's one of my favorite things about her. That and her appreciation of, like, greenery and her surroundings off of Jakku. I just, like, rewatching The Last Jedi really just, like, allowed me to think things through about what I really appreciate about her character. And those were some of them. Like, just her being unapologetically naive. That seems like a harsh word for that. But, like, she really is. She just, like, is learning about the universe, and now she's got this thing that she's been feeling in her for so long, but has no idea what it is, and she's like, okay, but, like, what is it? Like, I've lived on Jakku my whole life. Hello?
I've been going on 19 some odd years not knowing what this is.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah. What's up, Grace?
And it's like, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
But this just, like, came into my head.
Yeah.
The thing with Rey that I've noticed, like, with that scene, especially when they go to Taco Donna, and she says, like, I've never seen this much green in, like, the whole galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't take that so much as, like, a literal, like, I've never seen this much green.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, like, she has never seen another planet besides Jakku, at least one that she remembers.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, it's more of, like, a humanity sort of sense. Like, she, no matter what she went through, she never lost her, I guess, her faith in the world. Like, she never lost her faith that her parents would come back and, like, everything would be okay, but she kind of regained her humanity in a way when she joined that, like, when she joined the rebellion and, like, joined the rest of the crew. And that's a big thing in Star Wars, just in general, that people tend to forget, is that humanity as a whole is just such a big thing and, like, so prominent. Maybe not, like, in your face, but it's always there. People always tend to forget it in moments like what they face. And it's like, I don't know why, but, like, Rey in particular embodies that very well.
For sure. Yeah, Brody, what's up?
So, the quote, I said it wrong, is, I think it was like, I didn't know that there was this much green in the galaxy. And that's just one of the many, forest, wooded planets, because there's, like, Endor, there's, what's the one from the Rise of Skywalker? Was that, like, there's the new Battlefront map about it. But you know the one I'm talking
Pisana?
about.
No, that's not
No,
Pisana.
Pisana was the dancing planet.
The dancing planet.
The dancing
The one with Janna on
Exactly,
it?
the dancing sand squids, the cuttlefish.
Yeah.
They're like, do-do-do-do-do. I'm like, yes.
The one with Janna on it had water, so it's not that one either. Oh, the one where their base is.
Yeah, the one where they're
I don't remember that name of that one. I'm always bad about that one.
It's like something -7 or whatever. Like, it has a...
No, it's not.
No, it starts with, like, a D,
it has
doesn't
a
it?
stupid name, but also Yavin. Yavin's also another wood
Yavin too.
planet. But, oh my god. Another forest planet.
Yeah.
So, I think, like, it's just, even with, like, another Disney movie, Moana, all she ever knew was her island. And, she never left her island due to, like, her parents, which I guess they have that in common.
Yeah, from a different standpoint, for sure.
But, I think, remember, like, she went to the volcano, and she went to the underground crab lair. So,
Shiny.
shiny.
Oh my god, I love that site.
It was a whole new world to her, and eventually she came out better from exploring what she's always known. So I think that's what Rey is experiencing by going to all these different planets, including Rip in Peace Ilum, Starkiller Base.
No.
Yeah.
I know. When I was watching Force Awakens at work today, like, I was just finishing it up, yeah, I'm that cool. I get paid to watch Star Wars. What of it? And when I saw Starkiller Base get destroyed, I was like, no, the temple. I was so upset.
Yeah, honestly.
I could have sworn that I paused in a moment which looked like the temple was there, like next to like a platform or something, and I was like, don't tell me
so cool.
they planned this. But I think...
I don't mean much, but like, this is another headcanon with Rey. I really wish that she would have been able to go to Ilum.
Me too.
And like, be able to see... And maybe, like, if she had that same ability that Cal had, to be able to, like, sense everything that he sensed.
Yeah,
so, like,
that
be
would be
able
cool.
to sense the group of kids that were there, and, like, the crystals, and, like, the one kid that gets lost, and then the other kid's, like, we haven't been able to find him, and, like, that whole thing.
Yeah.
That whole side story.
I think of Fallen Order a lot. I don't know if you guys know this, but, like, I love that game.
Imagine
so
if Yoda had, like, presented himself to her and was like, you have to go to Ilum to build your lightsaber.
But
oh my god!
that was another question that I wanted to bring up.
What's up?
At the end of The Rise of Skywalker,
Mm-hmm.
Rey doesn't have the traditional Skywalker saber.
No.
Because she buried that in the dirt along with Leia.
In the sand.
In the sand.
Sand.
There's that meme that's like, sand!
And then there was the
like
meme
that.
of where it was like General Grievous has a shovel.
Oh my
But
god. 4 shovels.
after she buries them, she has a lightsaber that looks a lot, and I think it is made from her staff.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I think it's
it
the
has, like, a little
center part of
ridge
it.
bottom on it, which looks a lot like Darth Maul's lightsaber, but whatever. And she
I
turns
love
it, and it's a yellow blade. Where did she get that crystal? Because Ilum isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Ilum's a sun now.
Yeah, there are lots of planets. What's the answer, Grace?
There are multiple planets with Kyber crystals.
Yeah,
So,
Ilum just happened to be
I
one
have
of them.
a couple theories.
Oh, I just thought of one.
She goes to a planet that has other crystals. Like, for example, I don't know if that got exploded or whatever, but in another headcanon of mine, if she can't go to Ilum, she goes to Jedha.
I was just about to say Jeddah.
Is Jeddah?
Yeah.
Jedda's gone,
Well,
right?
Wasn't it a city?
well,
Oh yeah, Scarif is gone.
here's
Yeah,
the
Scarif.
thing.
And then
Not
Jeddah,
Jeddah.
they also blew up only Jeddah because it was only the test run.
Right.
So
Well,
not the planet.
There was a comic where Jeddah was seen after the events of Rogue One.
Okay.
And does everyone remember Conquered Dawn?
Yes.
Yes.
And how it has the giant chunk missing from it?
No.
Oh, wait. Is that Conquered Dawn or Concordia?
I don't know.
Concordia.
Concordia? That's the white planet with the big yellow core in the middle, and it's got the giant...
Oh,
At
yes. I think so.
It was in Rebels.
I think
Yes.
so. I think it's Concordia.
Concordia or Conquered Dawn. I can't remember exactly. Someone do some Mandalorian research for us. But
Help.
Jeddah looked an awful lot like that planet, like a crescent. It looked like a big
Lothal also
crescent, like it was just this, like a C shape,
Mm-hmm.
and its core was like completely expelled. So there was an entire face of Jeddah that was untouched by the Death Stars. Well, I wouldn't say untouched, but undecimated
Yeah.
by
True.
the Death Star's 10% Rey.
10% true.
Because Scarif is still a planet. It was just completely just obliterated on the surface. Nothing exists on the surface. All the water was evaporated.
Right.
So it's just kind of a dust ball.
Yeah.
And if Jeddah wasn't already a big dust ball, then it would have been more as well.
True. So I have kind of a two-parter. Why do you guys think that she immediately referred to Luke as Master when she arrived on Octu?
I feel like somehow, some way, somewhere, she knew, like, in the Force, that he was a powerful Force being.
Master?
And that, like, I guess from, like, context clues, so, like, the fact that there was a map to Luke, and BB-8, bless his sweet little round heart, I love him.
If you didn't say round at some point, I was gonna be like...
Sweet little round baby heart. That she was like, well, this droid has a piece of a map that leads to this dude. He must be really important.
This dude.
Like, that kind of thing. Being like, what's so important about him?
Yeah.
And then when she goes to Octo, however you pronounce it,
Achu.
she realizes how powerful he is.
True.
Like, realizes why he's a master.
Yeah. Brody, thoughts?
I think it's because, you know, when Finn first brought up, like, we gotta get this droid to the Resistance, and she's like, what's so important about this droid? It's like, he has a map to Luke Skywalker. It's like,
oh, yeah.
I thought he was a myth. And, you know, he was known as Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master, legend. So, she might be referring to him as Master, as in she knows him in the context of being a Jedi Master and a legend from the Rebel War.
Yeah. No, I love that answer. That was kind of where my headspace was, too. I just wanted to see what y'all thought. So this is kind of the secondary...
I still like Grace's idea, like, he must be important, therefore I must refer to him
as Master. Yeah.
He's so hyped up.
That'd be kind of cool to think about.
If he ain't a Master, then what is he? Why is he so important?
Loser. So this is almost more of a Luke question, but I wanted to put it in tandem with that one. So when he sees her practicing with the lightsaber by the rock, it almost seems like he's changing his mind or changing his perspective about her, because we get to see the camera kind of flip to him and he's just kind of like, oh, like, she's not really messing around. She's just not out here pulling my leg. Like, I need to reevaluate. But I thought about it, and I thought about the fact that, like, her smoothness with that specific lightsaber must have also been a part of that, like, thought process for him. Like, that's his family's kyber crystal. So, like, what do you think was running through his head when he, like, saw her with his family lightsaber and was starting to go, like, oh. You know what I'm saying?
Probably like, holy dang. I was about to say something else and I didn't.
I feel good call. I love it.
How did you get that? Because, like, does anybody know how Maz ended up with it?
No. I have a theory that she scuba dived.
There's going to be a story about it. It's currently in the works. The last... Because there's the official Star Wars Marvel comics.
Yeah.
They did the story that was between Empire Strikes Back and A New Hope. That wrapped up, and the first issue of right after Empire Strikes Back released. And at the very end of the book, there was someone, like a hooded figure, that grabbed the lightsaber as it was falling. And it was like your story's not over yet, Luke Skywalker, or something like that. So somebody grabbed it. It didn't just, fall into the gas cloud of Bespin, hit a Tabana gas whale thing on the head from Battlefront 2.
But how? Wow, I can't wait to read that.
Somebody grabbed it because they knew the exact moment where it was going to be.
And
whether that was Maz Kanata, but it was a very big, it was a normal human size.
It should be Maz.
And it had four fingers in one thumb.
It's probably one of those people at her bar.
For a second, yeah. I forgot for a second that Luke had a different lightsaber. Had a green saber.
Yeah.
So when I was thinking, I was like, wait,
spoiled.
But he's always had the Skywalker saber. No, he hasn't.
Yeah. I was thinking about it because I just really, watching that moment, I was like, he knows, like, right now, in this moment, that he needs to help her.
As Maz Kanata said,
exactly.
that it belonged to Luke and his father, and now it calls to you. Do you think that kyber crystal really belongs to the New Hope, the chosen one of their time?
I like how you worded that.
Yeah.
And yes, I agree.
Because Anakin, he was the one who first held that kyber crystal, and he was known as the Chosen One.
Mm-hmm.
And he was to bring some form of balance to the Force. He was still a very powerful Force user.
Mm-hmm.
And then Luke, being the Chosen One, as confirmed by old Ben in Rebels, when a dying Maul in his arms asked him, "Tell me, is he the Chosen One?" And he was like, "He is." And it was like, "He will," what was it, like, "He will avenge us."
Mm-hmm.
It was like, "He will avenge us."
Yeah.
And he's just like,
Trilla.
oh,
Because that's her
avenge
last
us.
words.
Don't bring me up about Trilla. I fell in love with her
Listen,
all
we
over
have
again when I won
PTSD.
That's why I said girlfriend.
Oh, God,
We
I
have
love
PTSD
Trilla,
from
but I'm just
loss
like,
of the
Trilla
loves
is
of our
Grace's.
lives.
Trilla belongs to Grace and Kian, so it's okay.
No, Kylo's Ian's.
Cal is Kian's.
Yeah.
But,
Anyway, back to Rey.
No.
back to it. I don't think a kyber crystal belongs to a certain somebody or a certain somebody's bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
Because Luke did get the green kyber crystal, which worked in his favor fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, if the Force exactly willed it, do you think it would have went to Ben if that was just how the system worked? Like, the lightsaber through the Force, because everything in Star Wars happens for a reason.
Yeah.
There are no
absolutely.
mistakes.
No.
Everything happens because it all ends up, all the events lead up to the grand finale of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I think the lightsaber calling out to Rey
Yeah.
is just the Force through the kyber crystal, which a lot of people say kyber crystals are in some form sentient when it comes to their Force sensitivity.
Yeah.
And it's like you work one with your crystal. It's just like, you know, it's like your starter Pokemon.
It's an extension of your
arm. It's the one that
arm.
you cherish through your journey.
I think that it called to Rey because it had some sort of, I mean, the Force is forever and unbending, you know, like it.
Force is forever.
It really is. It's like
Sounds like an
it
album.
already knows what decision it needs to make, and it just is gonna it's gonna change based on whose hands it falls into. But like knowing who Rey is, and knowing that everything is as the Force wills it to be, calling to Rey was the proper thing to do. And I think if it had fallen into the hands of Ben, it either would have bled or it would have just happened to be there and had to wait it out until he became Ben again. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I think that it, regardless of it not having a connection to a specific bloodline, it being involved with the Skywalker bloodline, I'm wondering if it not only went to the Chosen One, but was like, the Skywalkers, they got it. Like, they're not all the Chosen Ones, but they got it. So, like, we'll just stay here. What's up, Brody?
Do you think that's why when Kylo Ren on Starkiller Base reached out to grab Luke's lightsaber,
Yes.
it didn't come to him, but zipped right by his face and then went right into the hands of Rey because
Absolutely.
it didn't call to him. It calls to the Chosen One.
Yes.
It doesn't call to specifically the Skywalker bloodline,
Yeah.
which Ben Solo is Skywalker blood. He
Yeah.
is the son of Leia Organa, who is the daughter of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, and I
So-
think that in that one, it flies right past him. He's freshly Kylo at that point. But after the fight in The Last Jedi on the ship,
Yes.
when it's getting caught between them, he has been moments in that fight and afterwards, even when
That
he
was my favorite scene.
yeah, up
in
until
The
the
Last
point where
Jedi.
he says please when he's got his hand out. Like he's half and half, I feel like, at that point, and the Kyber Crystal knows that. The Kyber Crystal's like, you need to like pick up on my signals, my dude, because you can also deserve me, but right now you gotta figure it out. You know what I'm saying? What's up?
Exactly.
That makes me think, like, in that moment, when Ben is saying, like, it's time to let the past die. The Sith, the Jedi, the, like, Skywalker, Snoke, all of it must end. Like, the Resistance, the First Order, it's all gotta stop. So, do you think that was a moment of him being like, that's Ben?
Right, yeah.
He's no longer Kylo Ren in that moment. He kind of, like, distant. But then he was just, Ben for a little bit longer. But then after, one, Rey dumped him and left him on the Supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, two, the Luke hologram, the Force projection.
Yeah.
Then after that
really
he was
sent
just
him.
oh, I'm back to Kylo Ren after this. At first I was trying to be nice Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, try to stop this whole quarrel with the Force. Nah, man, that ain't me no more. I'm a skedaddle.
Yeah.
And back to Kylo Ren, and that's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
why he assembled his helmet once again.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this is kind of making me think of Ahsoka as well, because with her white crystals for her sabers, those crystals were from an Inquisitor.
Mm-hmm.
They were bled.
Right. Because the original crystals she had were on that planet where
The memorial is.
the 332nd died in the ship crash.
But she only dropped one lightsaber.
No, she dropped both of them.
I thought it was just the one, and then in the Ahsoka book she had one just in case.
No.
She collected
She dropped
pieces
both of them. She collected pieces.
to build a new one.
Collected pieces and
Yeah.
built a new one.
Mhm.
Okay, I
And
thought she
so-
just had the old one.
No, yeah.
Because if she dropped both of them, then people would know she was dead. But if she only dropped one and Vader found it,
He'd know she was still
then
alive.
he would know that she was still alive.
Yeah, and she,
That kind of
deliberately said, left it there to be found or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but also
And
the
that's
whole
very
Ahsoka
similar
novel
to,
kind of got retconned. more
Yeah,
or less. At
they
least
talked about that, I think.
the prequel bits,
I
or
don't
the Clone
remember.
Wars bits, where it was before the chapter began, because a lot of stuff was very inconsistent. Like how originally Ahsoka and Maul fought in the town square amongst clone troopers and Mandalorians,
Mm-hmm.
but now this one is in the throne room.
Yeah,
And
they said something about Clone Wars being the more canon version, since the book was written beforehand, and knowing that infinite timelines could exist in this isn't something by
The
Lucasfilm.
Force.
This is a conversation that I had with someone. In the concept of them fighting, we could have only seen part of that fight in Clone Wars. Does that make sense? That was the conversation that I had.
I don't
with
think it
someone
really
about
leaves enough room, because as soon as Maul got thrown out the window, which made me laugh out loud, quite literally.
Yes.
Because the lightsaber just went but as soon as Ahsoka walked out, he was already climbing up into that scaffolding to escape. So I think it just didn't leave enough room to
No, there are absolutely inconsistencies.
allow the
That's
book,
just
as well as the story of Rex taking his chip out before Order 66, which was implied in the book,
Yeah.
and how he single-handedly saved Ahsoka,
Mhm.
and how Rex put his armor on another clone to make it look like he died, but he still had the armor in Rebels.
Oh, I don't remember
So
that
it's
second
like-
part.
He still had his helmet in Rebels.
Yeah.
And he also had his gauntlets in his chest, and I think his knees.
I don't remember that second part of him leaving his armor on something in the book.
That's how he faked
How
his
is this
death.
related
and
to Rey?
because we were
Listen,
talking
we're on
about
a tangent,
Ahsoka
Grace.
And the white crystals.
I forgot about how we got into this conversation.
You were
I'm
talking
sorry.
about the white crystals.
Yeah, I'm
And then
sorry.
we started going off about the Ahsoka.
We got off on a Kyber Crystal tangent. It's okay.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize. We love a tangent here. So I am going to ask my last question.
Yes.
Simply because we're running out of time here. So my last one is a deep cut. Theory on what would have happened if Ben had survived. This is not the first time I've asked, and it won't be the last. So just so we're aware.
Ben and Rey would have started. I don't think they would have necessarily started in order or whatever, but I do believe that they would have done something to train Finn, and perhaps I don't know how to phrase this properly.
Do it.
Like
I believe in you.
Cope
Mm-hmm.
with everything that they've done.
Yeah.
Or everything they've experienced, because essentially, if you think about it, they're two sides of the same coin. They've basically experienced everything together without even realizing it.
Yeah.
So they really need some therapy moments. I feel like they would do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Rey would be a good coping mechanism for him, and I feel like she would simply be comforted by the fact that he was there. Brody, what are your thoughts?
So it makes me think that I don't think that they would, like what Grace said, would try to start a new Jedi Order, because that's beyond them. They're no longer Jedi. They've kind of grown beyond that. They've kind of grown to become the balance, to counteract the uprising of either the light or the dark. So I believe that they would, I guess be peacekeepers in some way and try to unlock more mysteries of the Force so they could possibly teach the balance.
Yes,
like how the
I
old
love that.
Jedi did. Because the old Jedi, like I said, were maintaining the balance of both the light and the dark. So I think they would be doing that, or they might just be, like a duo that, might try to snuff out the last of the remnants of the First Order, because I don't think all of them were defeated during the Battle of Exegol. It's like, yeah, we saw some Star Destroyers fall out of the sky, but I don't think...
They went to space Argentina.
Exactly. But, I hope that we get to see a future after The Rise of Skywalker where Captain Phasma secretly lived, and she's starting to make her own regime of the remnants of the First Order to just
I thought you were going to say she'd have, like, a farm somewhere.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah.
Like, ultra-ripped, super giant woman in a farm. Honestly, that's, like,
Brody,
my life.
It's her retirement
did you play
plan.
The Last of Us 2?
No.
Because you said super ripped woman, and it reminded me of a character, but I can't name him. This is
I
like the
was
fourth...
never big into The Last of Us.
This was like the fourth episode in a row where I've mentioned The Last of Us. But, like,
It really is, now that I think about it.
You're trying to subliminally make us buy. Are you?
No.
What are you doing to us, Grace? Yeah, I feel like... I mean, that's not going to be the last time... Like I said, the last time I asked that, because I really love that.
No. That's a really good, like, jumping off point.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to think about. What's up, Brody?
But it makes me think, since they are the dyad, and Ben died, what does that make Rey? Does she still have her healing abilities? Is she still so strongly connected with the Force?
Yeah.
And does she still have that dyad?
I absolutely think so,
Ben,
simply because he passed into the Force.
Yeah, like Ben disappeared, therefore he is one with the living Force, and he could become a ghost.
That's probably...
Ghost.
There aren't that many things that I'm disappointed in The Rise of Skywalker. Like, the more I look at it, there are things that I wish could have happened. But, like, none of it is super disappointing. I really love the movie.
Don't call me disappointed. I still enjoyed the movie.
Yeah. But I do wish, one of my only, like, true wishes for the movie is that he had been there when Leia and Luke showed up.
Same.
That
Also,
really,
ghost.
yeah, that really hurts my heart.
Speaking of those moments, the moment that when Ben dies and Leia disappears, when he disappears,
Yeah.
that makes me cry almost every time I think about it.
Yeah, I cried really hard watching TLJ today.
It's just like, I'm not going without my boy. He's still my boy.
Yeah.
Poetic cinema.
Poetic cinema. I also watched this clip. It came out like a couple days ago of somebody like edited in the Force Ghosts in the I Am All the Jedi scene, and I sobbed before I got on here with you guys. Like,
oh my god,
I was crying so hard, and I hate myself. But also, like, that's what Star Wars does, you know? They just present us with that. And, like, it was just like a fan edit, but it was magical. I highly encourage you to, like, Google it. But it's amazing, and it just to think about the fact that if Ben had shown up as a Force Ghost with Luke and Leia, it would have really solidified the concept of, like, her future as a Force user. I do agree. I don't think they would start a new order. I think that they would simply study the Force, help Finn understand himself, and help anybody.
Finn is Force sensitive. I love him. I wish
Yeah.
he kept the blue lightsaber.
Yeah.
He's our boy.
A cutie
He
angel.
deserved
He
it.
deserved
No, you want to know what?
Hmm.
I really would have loved it if, instead of being given that saber, if he was given Leia's saber.
Yeah.
Because, like, he looked up to Leia.
Yeah.
I mean,
And he became a
not as
general.
much as Poe. Yeah, right?
Like,
Yeah.
lightsabers are just lightsabers, because
Yeah,
considering
something
Attack of the
general.
Clones, one Jedi was just like, here, take mine, to Anakin and Obi-Wan, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
It's like, they're kind of like a dime a dozen.
Gotta do what you gotta do, you know? Well, yeah, I mean, it's just the concept of Rey and Ben it is so close to my heart, like, way more than I ever thought it would be. Just like we said in the beginning, you can't really talk about Rey without talking about, like, Palpatine or the Skywalkers, and you can't do it without talking about Ben either, because they are a dyad in the Force, and their story didn't necessarily change Star Wars, but it reshaped everything we thought we knew into something, like, so much cooler and deeper and so much more to explore in just one storyline, you know?
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys being here to talk such a long conversation about Rey.
Of course.
I definitely didn't want to take away anything from this conversation, because she is such a pertinent and relevant character right now. We are going to be talking about Ben soon, and I want to try and get a Kylo cosplayer on here.
I know someone.
Yeah?
She knows someone.
I know someone.
Perfect. We got to set that up. I want to do that probably soon.
I will talk to him tomorrow.
Awesome.
Because
So-
it's almost like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, we got to go. But thank you guys so much for being here. Grace, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you?
Yes. I am the head moderator and administrator of Castle Run Weekly's Twitch page, twitch.tv/Castle Run Weekly. I also run, or at least co-run, our Discord server, as well as blog posts on CastleRunWeekly.com, mostly surrounding books and comics. That will be rebooted soon. I'm looking forward to doing that. It might just take a little bit, but it will definitely happen. So
Yeah.
please check it out. And, yeah, you can also find me at Amidala716 on Twitter.
Nice. Brody?
You can find me at TK50015, both on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to check out, I don't know, I guess, more pictures or want to strike up a conversation, you can check out my Instagram at @the_Borby.
Awesome. And you can follow me at CJerica on Instagram or CJerica95 on Twitter. You can read my Star Wars Sunday blog posts and other blog posts at thekybercrystal.wordpress.com. Crystal has 2 L's in it. And please do not forget to follow the main channel at Kessel Run Weekly on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Also, please be sure to join our Facebook group. We want to create some more conversation and in-depth insight on the Facebook group. It is called the Kessel Crew on Facebook. And don't forget to check out the Twitch streams that Grace mentioned. So twitch.tv/Kessel Run Weekly. There are also links there to join the Discord channel. So please be sure to check out all of our social media and all of its wonderfulness. Instagram is the best place to go for updated information. This episode will be coming out on Friday, just like all of our other regular channel episodes, and Clone Wars commentary comes out on Wednesdays. Thank you all
It's
so
Wednesday,
much
my dude.
for... It's Wednesday, my dudes! Thank you all so much for listening. Thank you, Brody and Grace, for being here, and may the Force be with you.
Always.
Right.